The holidays are right around the corner, so let me show you how to make the best macaroni and cheese. I'll show you step by step how to make this foolproof macaroni and cheese that's sure to be a hit. The first thing I'm going to do is to grate my cheese, and I'm using a combination of extra sharp cheddar cheese and gruyere cheese. I'm also using white cheddar cheese. Now you can use any combination that you like, but I think it's best if you use a strong cheddar. Then you can add in another cheese such as gruyere, Gouda, or Fontina cheese. I wouldn't recommend mozzarella cheese because while it makes it nice and stretchy, it does not give it a ton of flavor. Next, I'm going to get started on the pasta. To a pot of boiling salted water, I'm going to add my pasta, and I'm going to let this cook just until it's al dente, about a minute or two under the recommended cooking time. While that's cooking, I'm going to get started on my cheese sauce. I'm going to start by adding butter to a pan. Once it's melted, I'm going to add flour, and this is called a roux. This is going to thicken the cheese sauce, and it's also going to make it nice and smooth. And I'm going to stir the flour into that butter, and I'm going to keep stirring because what you want is for this to be completely smooth. You do not want any lumps. And I'm just going to let this cook on low heat for a few minutes before adding my milk. And I'm using a combination of whole milk and half. But you can simply just use whole milk or whole milk and heavy cream or evaporated milk. And I'm adding a little at a time and just whisking it in because I want to make sure that there are no lumps and that the cheese sauce is completely smooth. And I'm just going to keep whisking and adding the milk. And I've shared this recipe before and it went viral pretty much. And a lot of people were thrown off by the addition of mustard, but it really complements the cheese flavor and you're not going to taste the mustard. For this recipe, I am, however, using mustard powder, and I'm seasoning the sauce with mustard powder, salt, white pepper, and garlic powder. If you cannot find ground mustard, you can also use Dijon mustard. Now once I've whisked in all of the seasonings, I'm going to let this cook on low. I'm going to let the sauce cook until it thickens, and this takes just a few minutes and the sauce should be nice and smooth. At this point, I'm going to turn off the heat. Then I'm going to add all of the cheeses and I am just going to stir it until it's nice and smooth. Now the heat that's in the cheese sauce is enough to melt the cheese. If you're still here at this point, I think you're interested in making this recipe. I will have it linked below in the description box. It's going to lead you over to my blog, giancancook.com, and you can print it, you can pin it, email it to yourself, and it has all the tips and tricks and exactly how to make this recipe from beginning to end. And this is exactly what you're looking for, a nice, thick, smooth sauce. And now it's time to add the pasta that I cooked earlier. Usually this is where I add a beaten egg, but some of you prefer one without the egg, so I'm going to make the recipe without it. I find that the egg binds it a little bit more, but it's all up to you. It's all personal preference. Now give it all a good stir. Make sure that all of the noodles are nicely coated before adding it to your baking dish. I have a question for you guys. Do you make macaroni and cheese for Thanksgiving? I saw somewhere online where people are saying that they don't make macaroni and cheese for Thanksgiving. It doesn't belong on the table. But as somebody who comes from another country, this was our interpretation of Thanksgiving, and this was one of the dishes that we've always made. Before placing it into the oven, I'm going to add a layer of cheese. This, when it bakes up, becomes a nice crust on the top. I baked it for about 25 minutes and allow it to cool a little bit before serving. And you guys, this is definitely the best macaroni and cheese you will ever have. I hope you give this a try in the upcoming holiday season. If you do, share it with me over on Instagram at giancancook, and I will see you guys in the next one.